shooting from my very sunny south-facing bathroom today, and I am going to be showing you some of the very best colours to use in south-facing spaces by Farrow and Ball, along with guidance on how to pick colours for that south-facing space. Now, if you're new here, I'm Nicole from Sleek-chic Interiors. I share shed loads of paint tips along with snippets from my own home renovation. If that sounds good, please hit subscribe so you see more of my videos. I have shared so many videos about specific rooms and their orientation. I've already got a video on north-facing Farrow and Ball colours, which I'll link in the caption below. But whilst north-facing spaces are notoriously tricky to tackle, south-facing spaces come with their own, albeit really good problems. Now, a south-facing space is typically very sunny, and what it does mean is that the sun can be super intense at the highest points of the sun during that day, and it can make a room feel really uncomfortable and also clinical if you're not using the right shades. Now, when I choose shades for a south-facing space, I always follow the same principles. Ideally, you want a colour that is going to balance the intensity of the sun, is going to neutralise it to give a really soft and subtle warmth in a room. What we don't want is really bright sunshine coming in to a very bright white room and making it feel uncomfortable to be in. And I'm just going to pop an image up on the screen now so you can see exactly what I mean and how it can impact how your room feels. Now, this is our downstairs toilet, and as you can see in the first shot, it is painted in bright white. This is a really sunny day, and I will mention that both these shots were taken on the same day, so the level is exactly the same of the light that's coming in. So we've got the bright white on the side, and as you can see, it's super uncomfortable. It's clinical, it's just feels uncomfortable, and there's just no character to it at all. Now, on the other side, we've got it painted in Sulking Room Pink by Farrow and Ball, one of my favourite pink shades, and you can suddenly see there's actually detail, there's character in the room, and it balances the sun beautifully for a really subtle, almost moody effect, which is exactly what I wanted to go for in that room. And as you can imagine, it's a downstairs toilet. It's going to be used quite frequently throughout the day, and I don't want to feel clinical and uncomfortable in it when I go in there. Now, this was a perfect medium because it's got those pink-based undertones for warmth, but it does carry that moodiness of it. So I just thought it was really important to share that image with you, just to show you how important it is in choosing the right colours for your south-facing space. Now, back to choosing colours. Before we get into my favourite Farrow and Ball shades, I've put in the timestamp below if you want to skip to certain parts. And south-facing rooms are a lot easier because virtually any colour works in a south-facing room because you have that warmth. But what I will say is bright white, as we've already demonstrated, is one colour you should avoid because it brings a really clinical and comfortable feel to the space. So instead, you'll kind of want to look for colours that are going to balance it quite well. If you're looking at whites, look for whites with a grey or green undertone. It's going to bring a really soft and subtle white without it feeling clinical and uncomfortable. And when it comes to using bold colours, anything kind of goes in a south-facing room. So if you want to neutralise that warmth, look for colder hue colours such as your lilacs, your blues and your greens. But as I've demonstrated, you can also add pinks in the space as well. But really, just be mindful about when you're picking that colour, how it interacts with the light that your south-facing room receives, because the light that my bathroom receives here might be totally different to a sunny south-facing kitchen that's got double bifold doors and lets in so much light. So choosing samples and testing them in your space first is really important. But the good news is, yep, south-facing rooms are much easier to tackle, and now I'm going to share with you some of my favourite Farrow and Ball shades for a south-facing space. Now, I'm going to kick it off with some whites because whites are still really important for a scheme, especially in a south-facing room. And I have got a colour behind me here in my south-facing bathroom, and this is Wevet. And you've probably heard me talk about Wevet before. It's actually one of my favourite off-whites from Farrow and Ball. It's got a gorgeous light grey undertone to it, and honestly, it just feels so soft. It's subtle, it's soft, and it balances with the sun really well throughout the day. You can tell it's white, but it's just got that light tinge of grey undertone to it, which makes it really cool relaxed and stylish in our bathroom scheme. So Wevet's one of my favourites. Next up, if you want something that's an off-white but a little bit darker, you also have Blackened. Blackened is actually one of their coolest greys with a real hint of grey, and I think again this would be a perfect colour if you're looking for bathroom shade, a white above like half wall panelling, or even in a really open plan south-facing kitchen which is really sunny. Now, as I mentioned before, virtually any kind of blues go in the space as well because they are cool, and it's kind of completely up to you how you're wanting to take your interior design scheme. If you want something really moody and a little bit sultry, you might go for something a little bit darker, but if you are wanting kind of a breezy, bright and breezy effect, you might go for something lighter blue. Now, another colour that we have in this bathroom, which you might be able to see, is Parma Gray, and actually you can see it behind me on the architrave. I'm telling you now, this is my favourite blue ever. It is a really soft, dusky, almost baby blue colour, and it's just the perfect pop of colour in this south-facing space. Keeps things cool, it's really relaxed, it's stylish, and this colour would virtually work well in any space. If you want an accent wall in a south-facing bedroom, if you want to use it on your kitchen cabinetry, if you just want to use it as kind of your woodwork colour, it works really well as well. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of it, and if you like brass accents, that will just bring some warmth into the equation, which is exactly what we've done in this bathroom. So we do have our cooler shades with our tiles as well, but the brass accents just stop it from feeling overly cool, which chrome or nickel might do in a bathroom or actually a kitchen as well. Now, another blue that I love for a south-facing room is Nimes, and this is almost for me like the blue equivalent of Sulking room pink because it's got a really mature demeanour to it. It's really understated, it's subtle, and it's a super down-to-earth colour, so you could literally use this in any room at all that's south-facing. I just think it brings a gorgeous demeanour with it, and it's possibly a colour we might use in our dual aspect living room as well. So Nimes, perfect for a south-facing space. I'm going to move into a few greens now, and I always say that greens actually virtually work well in any orientation, and sage green, for example, is one of the easiest colours on the eye, which is what makes it so calming and restorative to sit in. And one of their most popular shades is Mizzle, and I love Mizzle in a south-facing room because it's kind of cool but it's warm at the same time. It will balance the intensity of the sun, and it just looks amazing in any colour scheme, especially for if you wanted to create an earthy colour scheme with wooden tones, brass detailing, and kind of your browns and your creams and terracotta. I would love this in a bathroom as well. It just brings a sense of calmness with it. Perfect for an office, a sunny south-facing office that you're going to be working in throughout the day. It's going to balance the sun, and you just can't feel sad in a green interior. It connects us to nature, and it's one of my favourite green shades that they do. And another green that is perfect is Card Room Green. Card Room Green works really well because it's got a slight grey undertone to it, which is what helps balance that intensity of the sun and cool things down a little bit. Again, I think any Farrow and Ball shade does look good in most rooms because they just have such a strong pigment, a real depth of colour, but it is a little bit darker, so if you want to go for that moodier side, I would get a tester beforehand just so you can see how it reacts with the light in your space throughout the day. Now I'm going to move on to a few darker colours now that you might want to experiment with, and I've got to throw Sulking Room Pink back into the game here because I have loved this colour for a really long time, but I've never had a space that was kind of suitable for it. Now, Sulking Room Pink, again, it can be used in any room you want, but I do find that it's well suited to smaller areas, and a downstairs toilet is a perfect example of this because it just brings a beautiful, moody, sultry effect to our downstairs toilet. And I will be doing a reveal on this bathroom very soon, so I won't show you just yet, but all I can say is it looks amazing. It photographs beautifully, the depth of colour is amazing. We used one coat of paint, and when I tell you that the downstairs toilet has just completely transformed itself with paint. Like, it's like day and night because of how it counteracts that sunlight, and it just, yeah, it has a moody quality to it. I find it's a really mature kind of rose colour, and if you have a small space, whether it's a downstairs toilet or an accent wall, even if you pair an off-white with it, it's just going to add a beautiful design element to your space. Now, as far as oranges and yellows go, I would personally avoid them in a sunny south-facing space because they are going to make the warmth from the sun even more intense. However, if you want that kind of real warmth, I would recommend looking at more pared back neutrals and kind of taupe colours that are going to bring that warmth in, but it's not going to be kind of claustrophobic when the sun comes in. Now, Oxford Stone is a great choice. We have it in actually our north facing bedroom, but in this south facing room, it's just going to pair beautifully. It's going to softly balance it, and it's just going to have a gorgeous, gorgeous warmth. So if you like neutrals, that is one of my favourites. If you want to pair things back a little bit, London Stone is a warm and timeless brown. I just think, again, brings that almost moody, sultry, sophisticated kind of feeling to a room. Really, really love this actually in kind of a living room with half-wall panelling, or even a downstairs toilet with a really earthy colour scheme. And brown is super, super on trend for 2024. So if you're thinking about going down that route, I'd really, really recommend looking at London Stone. It's a real favourite of mine. Haven't found a room yet to paint in it, but I really, really do love it for a sunny, south-facing room. And of course, grey is a really, really good colour for a south-facing room. It's going to neutralise and balance the intensity of the sun, and greys are kind of moving out at the moment. We have been moving into those warmer beiges and neutrals, but Farrow and Ball tend to really get the line between trendy and timeless spot on, and especially when it comes to grey, they have got some gorgeous, gorgeous greys, which I'm going to mention now. French grey is actually one of my favourites from their collection because it's got that slight greeny undertone to it, so it kind of moves you away from that total grey colour that can actually feel really cool in a space. Because even if you do have a sunny south-facing room, whether you live in the UK or you live in the US, there is going to be days when there's just no light, which seems to happen a lot in the UK. So you still want to have that little bit of warmth on those days when there really isn't any sunlight present. And one more I'm going to mention is blue grey. Now, this is a cool blue grey, and again, it just lifts that grey tone. It gives it an uplifting feeling, and it's really, really great again for bathrooms, bedrooms, or even in a living space if you want to have a pop of colour on an accent wall. Now, there are so many colours in the Farrow and Ball collection, which is why I recommend getting a free colour card from their website if you've not already done so. I'll pop that in the caption below. It just gives you an idea of what colours they have across the whole spectrum and how they look in your space as well. These are just some of my favourite picks for a south-facing room. That's not to say the others aren't any good, because they just have so many colours. I'd literally be on this video talking to you all day, but I've popped all the colours below that I've mentioned in this video. If you've got any questions or colours you're thinking about pairing together, please do leave me a comment below, as I always come back to my comments with my recommendations and advice. But other than that, if you enjoyed today's video, please do give it a thumbs up, and I look forward to seeing you on my next video.